Stocks tumble. The Dow drops more than 200 points. Market troubles overseas come to this country. A show of force, war games, and a blunt message. Stop the bloody massacre in Eastern Europe now. In depth tonight, danger along the coast. A warning about killer tidal waves. The surf is wild. The risk is real. And the Truman Show factor. Real life, all live, all the time.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It was not a happy way to start the week, with more than 40% of the American adult population now owning some kind of stock. A lot of people were affected today when the stock market dropped more than 200 points, more than 2%. It's the second sharpest drop of the year, and the turmoil in Asia, particularly in Japan, seems to be the major reason, so this could go on for a while. NBC's Mike Jensen is with us from Wall Street tonight with more. Mike?
Tom, a very rough day here on Wall Street for America's 60 million stockholders. It started at the opening bell with the bulls in full retreat. In the first 13 minutes of trading, the Dow Jones average plunges 100 points. The trigger, huge losses overnight on stock markets in Asia. Panic selling there because of a faltering economy in Japan, usually the economic powerhouse of the region, now in its first recession in 23 years. All this spilling over onto Wall Street, waves of selling all day. By the final bell, the Dow plunges 207 points, its second biggest point decline of the year, fifth biggest ever. The Nasdaq also way down. All part of a month-long beating stocks have taken. Since its high point in May, the Dow has fallen almost 600 points. Small investors aren't panicking, but they are concerned.
What really worries me is what's happening in China and Japan. Those markets aren't coming back.
So is this the correction investors have been waiting for? Most analysts say yes, that stocks shot up more than 16% in the first 5 months of the year and were overdue for a fall. For this to turn into a typical full-blown correction of 10% or so, the Dow will have to drop another 300 points before it starts back up again. But many analysts say that's not as scary as it sounds.
Wait till they start to go up, okay?
Last October, the Dow plunged 554 points in one day, but still ended the year up 23%, with the bull market alive and well. Abby Joseph Cohen of Goldman Sachs has been called the prophet of Wall Street. She says there's nothing to worry about.
I think that before this year is out, the Dow will easily achieve 9,300, and in 1999, I would expect it to move higher.
She says we're not seeing the beginning of a long-term bear market, that is to say a major downturn, and most analysts agree with her, Tom.
Thanks very much. Mike Jensen tonight on Wall Street. The man who earned the nickname Chainsaw Al for his slashing ways of turning around troubled companies tonight knows to a degree what it feels like to be thrown out of work. Al Dunlap was fired as chairman of Sunbeam Corporation after his cost-cutting plan to lay off half of Sunbeam's 12,000 workers resulted in the stock of that company falling from $50 a share in February to a low of $15.75 today. Dunlap does get to keep his $2 million a year paycheck and benefits, including a country club membership for the next 2 years. And there's a new battle tonight between the White House and independent counsel Ken Starr. It's erupted with the publication of a magazine article in which Starr acknowledges that he and his staff gave reporters information about the Monica Lewinsky investigation. Tonight, that battle wound up in court. And NBC's David Bloom joins me now with the latest on what's going on there. David, what's happening?
Well, Tom, NBC News has learned that late today, a federal judge who oversees the Washington grand jury investigating the president called an emergency closed-door hearing. This following independent counsel Kenneth Starr's admission that he and his prosecutors have leaked information about the Monica Lewinsky case to the press. Arriving at the federal courthouse late today, the president's private lawyer, David Kendall, Monica Lewinsky's new lawyers, Plato Kacharis and Jacob Stein, and under the gun, prosecutors from the independent counsel's office. Their boss, Kenneth Starr, now admits that he and his deputy briefed reporters on their investigation of the president. But late today, Starr insisted in a written statement the Office of the Independent Counsel, OIC, does not release grand jury material directly or indirectly on the record or off the record. The OIC does not violate Department of Justice policy or applicable ethical guidelines. And the OIC does not release, and never has released, information provided by witnesses during witness interviews except as authorized by law. Starr insisted in part he was just responding to White House leaks. But the president's advisors have renewed their call for an independent investigation of the independent counsel. One source put it this way: federal judge Norma Holloway Johnson tonight is intent on taking Starr to the woodshed. Tom?
Thanks very much. David Bloom tonight. Still ahead tonight, NBC News in depth. It sounds like the stuff of science fiction, but giant tidal waves known as tsunamis are very real threats.
A tsunami is a potentially very dangerous wave, and it can kill people.
Why the new warnings about these huge waves? We'll have some answers for you tonight in depth. Later, another shooting incident at a high school, this time in Virginia. Can anything be done about guns in school?
My dad always said,
as soon as I get a computer, you'll come out with something better.
So, to make sure people like Dad always have the latest computer, we've invented YourWare, technology that grows with you. For just $49.95 a month, you get a computer with an Intel Pentium 2 processor, unlimited internet access, and you can trade it in toward a new one in 2 years.
What do you call this thing? YourWare.
Call 1-800-GATEWAY, and let's talk about YourWare.
Get one thing done, and it's already time to worry about doing it again. Want to make at least something around the house worry-proof? With Thompson's Premium Deck Stain, you can. It not only tested #1 in waterproofing, it resists fading from the sun and prevents mildew discoloration. No matter what you need to stain around the house, get complete protection with Thompson's. Thompson's. It's worry-proof.
Why does Tums control acid faster than Pepsid AC? Because they work on your stomach acid in totally different ways. Tums Calcium naturally, rapidly neutralizes acid so it works fast. Pepsid AC's famotidine has to travel through your bloodstream, so it takes at least 40 minutes to block natural acid production. So why does Tums work on acid faster and cost less, and Pepsid AC works slower and costs more?
Good question.
There's a message from NATO tonight. It will not sit idly by while Serbia once again becomes the bully of the Balkans. NATO sends its bombers into the skies into the southern province of Kosovo, where rebels are seeking independence for the ethnic Albanians, who make up 90% of Kosovo's population. But Serbia has other ideas, and it's been making its point with months of brutal attacks. Tonight, as NBC's Jim Miklashevsky reports, NATO puts Serbia on notice.
American warplanes today took the lead in a NATO power play, a multinational show of force aimed at convincing Serbian leaders to end the military violence against ethnic Albanians in Kosovo, which UN Secretary General Kofi Annan today called deliberate ethnic cleansing. The U.S. is also turning up the diplomatic heat. As Serbian President Milosevic arrived in Moscow tonight seeking Russian support, President Clinton was on the phone to Boris Yeltsin, telling the Russian president to pressure Milosevic to end the fighting. But pressure is building within NATO to take military action in Kosovo, most likely airstrikes, much like NATO's operation in neighboring Bosnia. But U.S. officials warn that military intervention in Kosovo would potentially be far more complicated and costly than Bosnia. Serbia is a sovereign country with a well-trained standing army that could easily threaten U.S. warplanes.
It's a real army with operating equipment, with a functioning air defense system, with command and control systems in place.
There's also fear airstrikes against Serb troops would give Albanian rebels false hope and actually prolong the fighting. And as in Bosnia, American ground troops may be committed indefinitely.
We have 8,000 plus troops on the ground in Bosnia with no end in sight. We want to avoid a repeat of that situation in Kosovo.
Despite today's show of force, the U.S. is telling its NATO allies that military action is only a last resort. And according to one official here, when it comes to military intervention in Kosovo, we are dragging our feet. Jim Miklashevsky, NBC News, the Pentagon.
The show, of course, is meant primarily for the Serbian leadership that's turned Kosovo into a killing field, sending in military units where it appears they're using the same brutal tactics that made them infamous in Bosnia. But so far, NATO has not frightened them. NBC's Ron Allen is in Kosovo tonight.
A threatening show of firepower, the U.S. and allied warplanes thundering near Kosovo today. Some refugees who fled Kosovo looked for the jets, but all they saw in the sky were berries they shook from a tree. They're among 15,000 people desperate for food and shelter, weary women and children pushed from Kosovo by Serbs who are literally driving out the majority population there. This group told us they just saw one NATO warplane. One plane is hardly enough to stop the bloodshed in Kosovo, they say. The slaughter should have been prevented, this woman says, and the West is still not doing enough. Human rights activists agree.
The objective was to show force and to intimidate the Serbs, then it was a complete failure on that point.
Despite NATO's show of force, there's evidence the Serb military campaign continues. Kosovo lies just beyond those mountains, but the Serbs have the area sealed off, hiding what they're doing.
International observers say they spotted Serb military helicopters in the air, a blatant act of defiance during the NATO exercises. On the ground, refugees escaping from Kosovo this morning say they've been hiding in the mountains on the run for weeks. The Serbs attacked again last night, he says. The Serbs have gotten tougher because of NATO's threats. The flow of refugees up sharply today, an alarming trend for aid workers who fear as many as 100,000 more could follow.
Everything has to be done to stop this movement of people. Everything has to be done to stop this suffering.
But today, those hoping NATO would finally get tough looked skyward and saw absolutely nothing to stop the bloodshed and the exodus. Ron Allen, NBC News, Northern Albania.
Up next tonight, NBC News in depth, why experts are raising new alarms about those giant waves called tsunamis.
The other day, I'm driving down Broadway when that pastrami on ride catches up with me. Heartburn, big time. My passenger says, "Here, take a Zantac 75. I say, "What are you, a doctor?" And he says, "Yeah."
The medicine in Zantac 75 is the #1 doctor-prescribed acid reducer. It relieves even your toughest heartburn, controlling acid for up to 12 hours.
A real gentleman, that doctor.
Zantac 75, the final word in heartburn relief.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
Now at Pep Boys, get any 4 of our 35,000-mile all-season steel-belted tires at an incredible low $99. That's right, any size, any 4 35,000-mile tires, just $99 at Pep Boys now.
When it's time to clean your outside windows, does the job seem this big? Next time, try new Windex Outdoor. Just aim, spray, and rinse. Windex Outdoor's concentrated formula and sheeting action dissolve tough outdoor grime to get windows clean. No buckets, no ladders, no aggravation. Bring a big job down to size with new Windex Outdoor. A beautiful shine, a lot less time.
Dateline Monday. 3 women with advanced breast cancer hoping to cheat death with a new experimental drug.
I call it my fountain of hope. I walk around telling everybody that I know that I found my miracle.
For some, the results will be disappointing. For others, remarkable.
I was supposed to be dying now.
An inspiring Dateline NBC tonight, 10/9 Central.
NBC News in depth tonight. Just when you thought it was safe to stop worrying about natural disasters like El Nino, experts are warning about a completely different form of threat, giant tidal waves. In fact, there have been 17 killer tidal waves around the world since 1975. Now, some officials are warning that another big one could be on the way to our shores. Our in-depth report tonight from NBC's Mike Betcher.
Up and down the Pacific coast, state and local governments are posting new signs, and they aren't joking.
These are very dangerous waves, and they can kill people in an instant, and you cannot outrun them.
Scientists warn the U.S. Pacific coast from Alaska to California and Hawaii must prepare for a tsunami the Japanese name for giant killer tidal waves, some 100 feet high, spawned by underwater earthquakes. Based on historical cycles, a giant tsunami could be coming.
There will be an earthquake and there will be a tsunami. I can't tell you exactly when, but I think it would be wise and prudent for us to prepare for such an event.
Anchorage, Alaska, Good Friday, 1964. A large earthquake spawns a tsunami that kills 121 people from Alaska to Washington State. 1993, Okushiri, Japan. A tsunami flattens a city and kills more than 200. The 100-year death toll worldwide, approximately 70,000. Dr. Eddie Bernard directs the government's Pacific Environment Lab in Seattle. He witnessed the 1993 destruction in Japan.
We would find the remnants of people's lives. It was very sad to see that these lives were totally messed up by this event.
The new tsunami warning comes after the recent discovery of what scientists call the Cascadia Subduction Zone, a 600-mile-long underwater fault along the Pacific coast. On that line, one layer of the Earth's surface pushes another layer downward. Inevitably, that layer will spring upward, causing a massive earthquake and a giant tidal wave. The last big quake was 300 years ago, and recently studied ancient dead forest in Oregon proved tidal waves repeat every 300 to 400 years. Are we due?
We're in the middle of a cycle. We know that we are somewhere building towards the next earthquake, but when, your guess is as good as mine.
To prepare, the federal government is spending about $2 million a year on a new warning system. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration is placing warning buoys in the Pacific from Alaska to Chile that can detect tsunamis. If a tsunami heads west from Japan, the U.S. Pacific coast could have as much as 10 hours warning. If it happens just off the coast, residents will have only minutes. The growing population along California's coastline worries officials here.
We're very concerned about the potential for these events occurring now when we're much more urbanized.
The scientists' best advice? If the earth shakes hard, move to higher ground. No one stands up to a tsunami and wins. Mike Betcher, NBC News, Los Angeles.
When we come back, another school day, another shooting, where it happened, the national implications. And it's just a movie, right? Think again. The Truman Show, a mirror of our times.
That was close.
There's only one television service people feel this good about. Primestar Satellite TV, ranked #1 in customer satisfaction.
Call 1-800-PRIME-STAR or visit Radio Shack now for special savings.
Do you like legs? Well, here's an attractive set. All-you-can-eat snow crab legs at Red Lobster for only $13.99. Bottomless buckets of meaty, succulent snow crab legs at a price you can't resist.
1 minute Malox.
In hospitals, speed counts. Fast-acting medicines, doctors rely on them. So when patients get heartburn, they get 1 minute Malox, not Pepcid AC.
Malox goes to work on stomach acid in 1 minute. Pepcid AC could take over 45 minutes to affect acid.
1 minute Malox.
Hospitals count on it.
Shouldn't you?
The #1 choice for hospitals. It's not Pepcid AC. It's 1 minute Malox.
I'm 64. Is there anything I can do to stop bone loss?
Absolutely. Here's proof. In a landmark clinical study, Caltrate actually stopped bone loss in women at risk for osteoporosis, whatever your age.
It's never too late for Caltrate.
Commercial artist. Ballet mother. Dog owner. Antique collector. Minivan driver? I don't think so. These are the new Buicks. Practical enough for the way you live. Stylish enough for who you are. The new Buicks. Real power. Real comfort. Real style. Isn't it time for a real car?
Now to the hotspots making news tonight. France, it was the third day of violence at soccer's World Cup. This time, Tunisian and English fans going at it while watching their teams face off on a big screen TV. 15 people were wounded. In this country, in Michigan, another 5,000 hourly workers at General Motors laid off. That's the ripple effect from strikes at 2 parts plants in Flint, Michigan, that have now affected more than 56,000 GM workers. Also, tragically, this school year is ending as it began with a shooting. No one was killed this time, but today's incident in Richmond, Virginia, is the latest in a very troubling pattern across America in communities of every size. Here's NBC's Robert Hager.
Gunfire breaks out in a hallway of Richmond's Armstrong High School. Students run for the exits, and within moments, a popular basketball coach and history teacher named Gregory Carter is wounded, hit in the side. A 75-year-old volunteer teacher's aide, Eloise Wilson, is shot in the arm, not seriously wounded. And within moments, a 14-year-old, 14 years old, is under arrest. Police withhold identity except to say he's a student at the high school. The weapon, a .32 caliber semi-automatic pistol. The charge, aggravated assault and use of a firearm. Police said the suspect came to school armed this morning, apparently intending to settle a score with a fellow student. As exams were in progress, they said an argument broke out in the hallway. Police said the student pulled the gun and began firing. How could it happen? Armstrong High has a metal detector at the front door, but it wasn't in use this morning. The school has a policeman, too, but he was upstairs. The shooting broke out downstairs, at one end of the hallway.
All of a sudden, we heard gunshots and people screaming. And nothing I knew, a student comes in the room and says, Mr. Carter's been shot.
It don't make no sense. We can't go to school. We can't feel safe nowhere.
They can't go to school without them carrying them guns. It don't make no sense. Violence is senseless.
Still, it raises the toll in a string of school shootings over the last 9 months to 44 wounded now, and from the earlier incidents, 15 dead. William Reisman, an expert on youth violence.
First thing parents need to do is go into their child's bedroom. Everything a child is or wants to be is on their walls. It's a reflection of that.
Schools are trying. 96% make visitors sign in. 53% control access to buildings. But only 1% use metal detectors every day. Tomorrow ends the school year for Armstrong High, but nationwide violence only grows, and no one knows how to stop it. Robert Hager, NBC News, Richmond, Virginia.
When we come back from the Truman Show to real life, a woman gets ready to give birth live online. But first, one for the record books. A house built in 4 hours, 39 minutes, and 8 seconds. Constructed yesterday in Tennessee by 300 volunteers for Habitat for Humanity, believed to be the largest nonprofit home builder in the world.
Whoa, Steve. White.
Who are you guys?
Relax, Steve. We're the Stafford guys.
Not that there's anything wrong with white.
It's clean. Classic.
But dressing today is all about imagination.
Creativity. Color.
Like French blue. Butternut.
Plum.
All about style, buddy.
Style.
Yeah, you got it. Sorta.
Stafford, America's best-selling dress shirt, is on sale now. And it's only at JCPenney.
Mom, the dog. It's just laying on the bun.
That dog needs a new trick.
Beat the cold bun blues with Pillsbury Crescent Dogs. Just wrap them and bake them.
Aren't these dogs fun?
Good dog.
You remember
That foul ball.
Yeah, you were 12, a hot dog in each hand. I reached up and snatched that ball right out of the sky.
But this time the hot dogs are on me.
I wish I could.
Oh, but Dad, you can. Take this Pepsi AC before you eat. Heartburn stops before it starts.
Before I eat?
Yep.
You get us the hot dogs, and I'll get us another foul ball.
You can be heartburn-free with Pepsi AC.
This summer, when you itch from mosquitoes or poison ivy, remember the power of 10. Among these, only Cortisone 10 penetrates skin with the medicine doctors recommend most to stop itching and help heal. Remember the power of 10. Cortisone 10.
The movie is coming. 2 free tickets can be yours. Go to Oldsmobile. Drive the intrigue. quickly.
Intrigue by Oldsmobile. Drive the intrigue. See the movie.
In today's world,
there's so much turmoil now.
How do you get the information you need? Tom Brokaw and NBC Nightly News, America's news leader.
6 NBA titles, 5 MVPs, 10 scoring titles, the extraordinary life of sports legend Michael Jordan on Time and Again. Call your cable or satellite provider for MSNBC.
The #1 box office film again this past weekend was the evocative Truman Show, about a man whose entire life is a non-stop television show, live, and he doesn't know it. Sounds far-fetched, right? Well, as NBC's George Lewis tells us tonight, the idea of private lives going public is spreading fast.
Her name is Elizabeth. She doesn't want her last name revealed because of privacy concerns, which is unusual because she has no qualms about doing something very public, televising the birth of her 4th child scheduled for tomorrow morning. This camera in the delivery room will be hooked to the internet, and people around the world can watch the birth on their computer screens.
We're going to be giving a childbirth class for the entire world.
So why would Elizabeth want to share this most intimate moment with the entire world?
Well, hopefully this will help educate women who are expecting their first child, help them ease some of the apprehension they have about childbirth.
It's the Truman Show! It may be a case of life imitating art. In the current hit movie, The Truman Show, Jim Carrey plays a man whose every moment is televised.
An entire human life recorded on an intricate network of hidden cameras and broadcast live and unedited 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to an audience around the globe.
Isn't that what we did to O.J. Simpson? We watched his life 24 hours a day on the television, and America has essentially become a nation of voyeurs.
Not only a nation of voyeurs, but also a nation of exhibitionists. With the internet, anybody with a computer and a cheap camera can televise his or her own life. It all started in 1991 with a coffee pot. Students at Cambridge University in England wanted to see when the coffee was ready. 2 years ago, Jennifer Ringley took it to a new level with JennyCam, a camera in her bedroom, turned on 24 hours a day.
There are many people who will play up to the cameras and who will want their lives on TV as if that's the only way their life has meaning, as if it's on the box.
But Elizabeth says giving birth has meaning on or off the net. Technology just gives her the chance to share it with the whole world. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
And it's hard to believe that there's a whole generation of people now who make their living putting on makeup, reading out loud to a television camera, and arriving in the homes across this country of people who believe what they say. Hard to believe. Tomorrow night, a sudden change in the weather. El Nino was bad, but alarming new findings by scientists predict this could be much worse, and we'll have that story for you. That's Nightly News for this Monday night. Tonight on Dateline NBC, more on the latest school shooting. That's Dateline tonight at 10, 9 Central. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
NBC Nightly News is America's most watched evening news program.
Tomorrow on Today, one of Italy's most famous gunned down. Now his ex-wife's on trial. Is she killer or victim? The Gucci murder, tomorrow on Today.